Maria Bartiromo is a big fan of Donald Trump. So when she saw Donald Trump tweeting an attack against other government officials, she wanted to jump in and help the big guy out. So first, let me show you the tweet that Trump sent recently. He says, "I hereby demand, and will do so officially tomorrow," and he did today, "that the Department of Justice look into whether or not the FBI, DOJ infiltrated or surveilled the Trump campaign for political purposes, and if any such demands or requests were made by the people within the Obama administration." So he says they've politicized the Department of Justice and the FBI. Well, look, if they left it at, well, let's have the Inspector General do their job and look into whether that was a political attack against the Trump campaign, or if they had a legitimate warrant, reasonable suspicion, and they were investigating a potential crime. Great, have the Inspector General do that, no problem. So I'm actually not overreacting to it. I think it depends on the manner in which they proceed. Now, if instead Donald Trump says, look, I don't want the Inspector General looking into it, and I don't want to go through regular course of business. I just want the Department of Justice to fire anybody who's my opponent at the FBI and to eviscerate any group that's looking to legitimately investigate me. Now, my sense, having seen Donald Trump, having heard his words, having him say it over and over again in public, is that he's looking to do the latter, right? But theoretically, you could do the Inspector General route, and that's what Rod Rosenstein now, having met with Trump, says, yeah, we'll have the Inspector General look at it. Okay, so Bartiromo, though, that's not enough. She's gonna go after far more than even just the FBI. Let's look.
This is a major presidential election.
Yes.
President Obama, basically, what it appears to me, politicizing all of his agencies, the DOJ, the FBI, the IRS, the CIA, they were all involved in trying to take down Donald Trump.
They were all involved in trying to take down Donald Trump. The IRS, the CIA, well, first of all, where are they? Okay, why hasn't the IRS released his tax returns? If they were part of a plot to take down Donald Trump, he is incredibly nervous about those tax returns, doesn't want anybody to see them. How come the IRS hasn't released them? Oh, the CIA, how is the CIA going to take down Donald Trump? Okay, so apparently the conservative hosts have done a number of things. One is they've gone full Jones. So they're like, Alex Jones, you think the frogs are gay? Hold my beer. Okay, so she's throwing the kitchen sink in there. Second thing is, and this is what fascists do, destroy the rule of law. Oh, you're gonna try to enforce the law and keep our system of government as it is with its checks and balances? No, we will destroy your checks and balances. Anyone who tries to investigate us, we will actually investigate them and throw them in jail for trying to do their job. Law enforcement, we were kidding. We never believed in law enforcement. So now we'll say the Department of Justice and the FBI are all crooks who hatched a conspiracy along with the IRS and the CIA to target Donald Trump. You know what that means? That means Maria Bartiromo was never sane in the first place. And there was all these fascists who were sitting in their closets, and now Trump has given them permission to come out of the closet. So they're like, yes, all right, how do we destroy all things that make this country what it is? Now, if as a journalist, she was to say, hey, listen, don't believe everything you hear from the FBI or the CIA. Well, I'd say, I hear you on that. Hey, finally, a little bit of journalism has broken out at Fox, right? And you were to say, hey, for example, when they do a drone strike and they say it's only civilians, perhaps we should question that. I'd say fantastic, right? But don't assume that they killed civilians. Don't assume they didn't kill civilians. Let's actually look into it and do some reporting. Wow, how's that for an idea? Instead, she goes with, don't listen to anything they're saying. All the people trying to enforce the law are all part of a global conspiracy against our beloved dear leader. They can't wait. The minute he gave them a little bit of opening, they jump right through it. They're like, when do we start arresting people on false charges? She's so sad. By the way, does anyone ever talk about business on Fox Business? I've literally never seen it. I don't know, we must have covered dozens of their clips. Never once saw them talking about business. Okay, so she's not done yet. She knows who hatched the conspiracy. Let's watch. Right.
Where was Obama? I don't know. What do those texts and all of this information tell us where Obama was? It sounds like either President Obama or Hillary Clinton were sort of masterminding all of this.
Oh yeah, masterminding it. Hillary Clinton masterminded herself to a defeat of one of the worst and least popular candidates in American history. What a mastermind Hillary Clinton is. Hey guys, I got a great mastermind idea. Let's not go to Wisconsin or Michigan. Okay, anyway, and Obama, intelligence officials come up to Obama and the Republican leadership and the Democratic leadership in the Senate and the House, and they say, hey, by the way, the Russians are interfering with this election and they are trying to help Donald Trump and hurt Hillary Clinton. Mitch McConnell says, hey, you better not say anything, okay? Because that'll hurt our Republican candidate, even though it's true and I acknowledge that it's true. Obama goes, okay, just don't criticize me, don't criticize. I don't want to tarnish my legacy. So he didn't say anything. As usual, he was a total pushover. And what does he get? I mean, for 8 years, he never learned that lesson. Well, if I'm enough of a pushover to the Republicans, maybe they'll say nice things about me. You said nothing during the election. Trump won. And now they say you launched a global conspiracy, including the IRS and the CIA. They were going to say that no matter what, you schmuck. So this is what the right wing in this country has devolved to. A bunch of conspiracy theory lunatics who can't wait to go after their political opponents and destroy our system of government. Okay, they never believed in it anyway. They never believed in the Constitution. They wanted us to be ruled by either an authoritarian leader or some religious zealot. They believe in theocracy. They don't believe in the Constitution. They don't believe in a separation of church and state. They don't believe in freedom of the press. They don't believe in rights. They don't believe in probable cause. They don't believe in any of those things, and they never have. They don't even believe in democracy. So the minute that they have an opportunity, they're gonna go authoritarian and they're gonna go all the way. So understand that's what's coming down the pike. And it turns out they were always in our midst, but carefully hiding in the closet, waiting for just a moment like this. Maria, congratulations, you're out of the closet now. 2 easy ways to follow the Young Turks. One is hit the subscribe button down below, then you're a TYT subscriber. And second is ring the bell. And when you do that on YouTube, you're notified of our videos.